In this country, the richest people on the planet hide behind electrified fences. Here, some of the most beautiful beaches in the world border criminal mazes where the law simply does not work. Here, Christ the Redeemer stretches his arms over the city, while directly below him lies another world, far removed from the glossy images. Brazil is not just a country, it is a giant social experiment covering half a continent. It is the homeland of Pelé and Neymar, Gisele Bündchen and Paulo Coelho. A place that gave birth to some of the most exciting rhythms on the planet and became world champion in soccer 5 times. How did a country with the seemingly endless resources of the Amazon and some of the best beaches in the world become a place where survival has turned into a daily art? And why, despite all the hardships, do Brazilians keep smiling? Today, we will look beyond the facade of carnival feathers and commercials. We will see Brazil as it really is: passionate, dangerous, hungry, and incredibly alive. Welcome to a world where sweet brigadeiro exists side by side with a life that is anything but sweet. Chapter 1: The Survival Economy. Why is everything so expensive in Brazil? The moment a foreigner walks into a Brazilian supermarket for the first time, the romance of the tropics quickly ends at the checkout. We are used to thinking that everything should cost next to nothing in developing countries, but Brazil shatters that myth. There is a concept here called custo Brasil, Brazil cost, a crazy combination of high taxes, corruption, and poor logistics. A regular iPhone can cost twice as much here as it does in the United States, while imported sneakers are a luxury item that someone could even lose their life over on the street. So, how does the average Brazilian survive? The minimum wage in the country is around 1,400 reais, or roughly $280. At the same time, renting a tiny studio apartment in a decent neighborhood of Rio or São Paulo can easily eat up 2 of those salaries. This has created a unique culture known as jeitinho brasileiro, the ability to find a way out of almost any impossible situation. Brazilians live on credit. Everything, from groceries at the supermarket to Havaianas flip-flops, is bought in installments over 10 to 12 months. The country lives on debt, balancing on the edge of economic collapse, yet shopping malls are always full of people. This paradox has a simple explanation. Tomorrow may never come, so you have to enjoy life today. The currency, the real, constantly rises and falls, while inflation eats away at savings. That is why, for a Brazilian, the best investment is in experiences, food, and celebrations. In Chapter 2, Rio de Janeiro, the city of God and neon lights. Rio de Janeiro is Brazil's calling card, where luxury exists just across the street from the slums. It is a magnetic destination that attracts millions of people. When you first see Guanabara Bay from the top of Sugarloaf Mountain, the view is mesmerizing. It is perhaps one of the most beautiful natural landscapes on Earth. This phenomenal landscape began forming around 600 million years ago. It all started with enormous pressure created by the collision of tectonic plates. The famous Sugarloaf Mountain and the surrounding cliffs are massive granite formations. Long ago, they were magma that cooled deep underground. Over time, the rock was pushed toward the surface. Then millions of years of tropical rain gradually shaped it into what we see today. The final touch came at the end of the Ice Age. The level of the Atlantic Ocean rose and flooded an ancient mountain valley. That is how Guanabara Bay was formed. the same blue bay that has become one of Rio's most recognizable symbols today. But look a little lower, and you will see the favelas. In Rio, the rich and the poor do not simply live next to each other. They are mixed together. The windows of luxury penthouses in Ipanema look directly toward the chaotic buildings on Cantagalo Hill. In this city, there is no truly safe downtown. You can be walking along a brightly lit waterfront and, just 100 meters later, accidentally enter an area controlled by a drug cartel. The main rule in Rio is simple: do not attract unnecessary attention. That is why people try not to show off expensive watches, jewelry, or a new smartphone. Some locals even carry an old backup phone when they go outside, one that is easier to give up in an unpleasant situation. This is the other side of a city that millions of people know from its beaches, carnival, and postcards. But when evening comes, Rio changes. Thousands of lights appear across the hillsides, and the favelas turn into an endless glowing sea. That is the paradox of Rio. Tension exists side by side with beauty, caution with freedom, and around every corner, the city is capable of surprising you all over again. Chapter 3. Favelas, a state within a state. Favelas are not just slums. They are entire cities with populations in the hundreds of thousands, such as Rocinha or Complexo do Alemão. They have their own barbershops, their own schools, their own banks, and most importantly, their own rules. A favela is often controlled either by tráfico, groups connected to illegal trade, or by militia, organizations that often include former police officers. For many residents, a favela is the only realistic way to have a home. People often do not pay regular property taxes there, and electricity is sometimes obtained through gatos, illegal connections to the public power grid. Inside a favela, things can be surprisingly clean and welcoming. Neighbors know each other by name, and on almost every corner you can find people frying famous Brazilian coxinhas and hearty pastéis, some of the most popular street foods in Rio. The tragedy is that for some young people in poor neighborhoods, tráfico becomes one of the few real ways to move up socially. Where public schools, healthcare, and social support are weak, local criminal organizations often step in to fill the gap. They may pay for funerals, help families, or finance soccer teams, and in this way buy the loyalty of the neighborhood. That is why it is important to understand that behind the beautiful views and low rent, there can sometimes be a completely different system of rules. Chapter 4. Feijoada, the history of Brazil on one plate. If you want to taste Brazil, you need feijoada. It is more than food. It is a culinary statement of the country. According to one of the best-known versions of its origin, feijoada appeared on sugar plantations, where enslaved Africans cooked black beans with the cuts of meat available to them. Tails, ears, feet, and organ meats, adding garlic and spices. Today, feijoada is a national treasure. On Saturdays, the whole country, from the president to the shoeshine worker, sits down at the table to eat this thick, smoky, rich stew. It is served with white rice, orange slices that refresh the taste of the rich dish, farofa, toasted cassava flour, and thinly sliced kale. Brazil's greatest culinary secret is its ability to turn simple ingredients into dishes with a deep history. Feijoada brings together Portuguese traditions, African influence, and local ingredients. That is why today, in a single plate, you can see several centuries of Brazil's complex history. Chapter 5. Street food, Coxinha, Pastel, and the magic of Açaí. The streets of Brazil smell like fried food and sugar. The king of street food is Coxinha. It is a small chicken drumstick made of dough, filled with tender shredded chicken and creamy cheese, then fried until golden and crispy. It is the perfect snack, and you can buy it on almost every corner for just a few reais. At Brazilian markets, you will definitely come across pastel, large, crispy pockets of dough filled with meat, cheese, or shrimp. They are usually served with sugarcane juice, called caldo de cana. The drink is very sweet, so together with a hot pastel, it creates a truly Brazilian street food experience. Once you sit down at a table with this street food, you will almost inevitably find yourself drawn to another magnetic phenomenon of the country: beautiful Brazilian women. Their main secret is not glossy beauty standards, but a hypnotic, almost wild self-confidence. On top of that, women in Brazil genuinely love tourists. One casual smile, and a local beauty may already be chatting with you as if you have known each other forever. But to keep up with this crazy social rhythm, you need the right kind of energy. Brazil is also the birthplace of superfoods. Açaí is a dark purple berry from the Amazon that has now conquered the world. In Brazil, it is not eaten like a dessert in a trendy cafe, but as a thick frozen bowl topped with granola and banana. It is fuel for surfers and athletes. And this reputation has a scientific basis. Açaí pulp contains 33 times more antioxidants than red grapes. Clinical studies have shown that just one serving of this superfood can reduce cellular stress and markers of muscle damage by 30%, helping the body recover at an incredible speed. But the most interesting thing is that in the north of the country, Açaí is eaten savory, with fish and cassava. It is the taste of the jungle, pure energy from the wild. Chapter 6. Churrasco, Meat Paradise and the Rodizio Culture. If Argentina is the art of steak, Brazil is a celebration of endless meat. Brazilian churrasco is a true obsession. In traditional meat restaurants, such as the famous Asador Rios, known as churrascarias, they use a system called rodizio. You pay a fixed price, and the waiters, called pasadores, begin an endless rotation, bringing huge skewers of different kinds of meat directly to your table. The main star here is picanha. It is a cut from the top of the rump with a thick layer of fat that melts over the coals and gives the meat an incredible flavor. Brazilians do not believe in complicated marinades, just coarse salt and fire. Churrasco culture was born in the south of the country, in the state of Rio Grande do Sul, among Brazilian cowboys known as gauchos. For them, meat was the main way to survive during long journeys across the pampas. Today, churrasco is a way to bring the family together. Sunday barbecue in Brazil is as sacred as Mass. Chapter 7. The Amazon and Brazil's indigenous tribes. Life in the heart of the jungle. Leave the cities behind and head north to Manaus. This is where civilization ends and the Amazon begins, the largest tropical rainforest on Earth. It is a place where nature still sets the rules. The Amazon River is so enormous that in some places you cannot even see the opposite bank. This is where the meeting of the waters takes place, a phenomenon in which the dark waters of the Rio Negro and the yellowish waters of the Solimões flow side by side for many kilometers without mixing because of differences in temperature and density. It looks like science fiction, but in reality, what we are seeing is pure geology. The Solimões is colder, faster, and filled with sediment. it carries enormous amounts of suspended material down from the Andes. The Rio Negro is completely different. Its water is warmer, its current is slower, and its dark color comes from dissolved organic matter. Because of differences in temperature, speed, and density, these waters do not mix immediately. As a result, the two rivers continue flowing side by side for several kilometers, one light and the other almost black, as if separated by an invisible boundary. The Amazon is home to hundreds of indigenous tribes in Brazil. Right now, deep in the tropical rainforest, the famous Yanomami people live in huge circular villages built for hundreds of people. This region is also home to the mysterious Piraha people, whose language, according to researchers, has no exact number words, no fixed names for colors, and no grammatical future tense. They live almost entirely in the here and now. But unfortunately, the Amazon is under threat today. Huge areas of forest are being cut down and cleared for cattle ranching and soybean plantations. For the world, the Amazon is often called the planet's lungs, while for a local farmer, the land may be a way to feed a family. This conflict of interests lies at the heart of one of the great environmental dramas of the 21st century. Brazil is trying to balance economic growth with the preservation of a unique biosphere. On a single hectare of forest, you can find more tree species than in many entire regions of Europe. It is a true green treasure protected by UNESCO. Rare hyacinth macaws call from the treetops. Giant toco toucans fly from branch to branch, and high above the forest, powerful harpy eagles hunt. The scale of this ecosystem is so enormous that Guinness World Records officially describes tropical rainforests as the most biodiverse biome on the planet. And the Amazon remains the largest tropical rainforest on Earth. Chapter 8. Carnival and Soccer in Brazil, the culture that unites the country. There are moments when it feels like all of Brazil begins to live to the same rhythm. One of them is an important match of the national team. Another is Carnival. For the rest of the world, soccer is a sport. For Brazilians, it is a religion. The names Pelé, Garrincha, Ronaldo, and Neymar are often better known here than the names of saints. Maracanã Stadium is more than just a soccer arena for Brazil. For many Brazilian children, including those who grow up in the favelas, soccer becomes a chance to reveal their talent and change their lives. That is why people play with such passion here. In Brazil, soccer is not just a sport. It is hope, character, and part of the national culture. The Carnival in Rio de Janeiro is not simply Brazil's biggest show. It is officially recognized by Guinness World Records as the largest carnival celebration on the planet. Just think about the scale. Around 2 million people take to the streets of the city every day, but few people know that behind the glitter of rhinestones, feathers, and samba stands a huge industry that brings more than $1 billion into the city's economy in just a few days. Samba schools prepare for the parade all year long. The main battle takes place at the legendary Samba Drome, a giant arena around 700 meters long, designed by Oscar Niemeyer, with space for around 90,000 spectators. In the top division, only 12 elite schools compete, and each one brings between 3,000 and 4,000 performers onto the parade route, along with enormous moving floats as tall as a 3-story building. At the same time, for many dancers, especially people from the poorest favelas, Carnival becomes the purpose of the entire year. They save their last money to create elaborate costumes, weighing up to 10 kilograms, and rehearse endlessly so that, for one night, they can feel like the kings and queens of this celebration. For these wild 5 days before Lent, Rio turns into one enormous stage. Carnival is the moment when the city completely forgets its harsh social divisions. Samba begins to beat in one shared rhythm, bringing people together whether they walked down from the favelas or arrived by private helicopter. Chapter 9: Salvador, the African heart of Brazil. If you want to see the roots of the Brazilian soul, travel to the state of Bahia, to the city of Salvador. It is one of the main centers of Afro-Brazilian culture and a city with a large population of African descent. Here, the colorful colonial architecture of the historic Pelourinho district is painted in pastel tones, while the streets are filled with the aroma of dinde, palm oil that is essential to the traditional cuisine of Bahia. This is where Capoeira was born, the famous Brazilian martial art disguised as a dance. Enslaved Africans used it for training and self-defense, combining fighting movements with dance, music, and the sounds of the berimbau. Candomblé also flourishes here, a syncretic religion in which African Orisha deities are represented through the names of Catholic saints. In Salvador, you should definitely try Acarajé, balls made from bean dough, fried in palm oil and filled with spicy shrimp. It is one of the most famous dishes of Bahian cuisine. On the streets of Salvador, Acarajé is traditionally sold by Bahian women wearing full white dresses. Salvador is a place where Brazil remembers the painful history of slavery, while at the same time celebrating the triumph of African culture, which became one of the most important foundations of the modern Brazilian nation. Chapter 10: The History of Brazil, from colony and slavery to empire and democracy. Brazil is the only country in the Americas that once became the headquarters of a European monarchy. When Napoleon invaded Portugal, the royal family fled to Rio de Janeiro. This made Brazil unique. It does not have the same Spanish legacy, but it carries a distinctly Portuguese sense of melancholy, known as saudade. Brazil abolished slavery only in 1888, later than most countries in the Western Hemisphere. The consequences of that past can still be felt today in the structure of its cities, its social system, and its economy. Then came military regimes, political crises, periods of rapid growth, and painful declines. All of this shaped the unique character of Brazilians: family, neighborhood, friends, local community, and of course, the soccer team all play an especially important role here. But what is most striking is something else. Brazil survived dictatorship, hyperinflation, severe economic crises, and deep social inequality. And yet, it did not lose the most important thing: the ability to enjoy life. Perhaps that is exactly why Brazilian culture is so vibrant. Here, people know how to turn hardship into music, tension into dance, and hope into a true part of the national character. Chapter 11: Modern Brazil. How is the country living and changing? Brazil is a country of enormous distances and equally enormous contradictions. Between the futuristic skyscrapers of São Paulo and indigenous settlements in the Amazon, between the luxury of Copacabana and the harsh reality of the favelas, there is a deep divide. But Brazilians have built a bridge across it with music, food, and love. Here, happiness is not always measured by the exchange rate of the dollar, an expensive phone, or the size of a bank account. Sometimes Brazilian-style happiness is a cold drink, a hot plate of feijoada, samba playing somewhere nearby, a soccer match, friends gathered around the same table, and the sun overhead. If you ever find yourself in Brazil, by the time you leave, you will already understand what saudade means. a sweet longing for a place where you felt truly alive. Brazil does not ask you to understand it. It asks you to feel it. And if you learn to dance samba where others see only problems, then you have understood what Brazil really is. If this film helped you see Brazil from a new perspective, leave a like and subscribe. Next, we are heading to Colombia, a country that managed to rise from the ashes. See you in the next chapter of our journey through the soul of Latin America. Axé, friends.